Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Listen, we know there's a lot going on at 147. We know Terrence Crawford, wants to pick and choose his opponents. And, he's earned that right. Whether he's going to be able to do that or not, that's a whole other issue, right? But the reality of the situation is Terrence Crawford is the undisputed at 147. Terrence Crawford has mandatories. But we know how the secret society works. We understand how the WBC works because they are part of the secret society. And we know that you got a guy named Keith Thurman. And we understand Keith Thurman giving up his belts voluntarily. We understand him coming back. He still hasn't had an opportunity to really fight for that WBC strap. We know that he's holding on to that tooth and nail. No one beat me for it, so I deserve to have an opportunity to fight for it. But this is the problem, right? Keith Thurman has the name. Boots Ennis, he has a name too now. I think Keith Thurman's name's still bigger because of what he's been able to accomplish. Boots Ennis, he hasn't had the opportunity yet, but he's right there. He's in the window. So the question is, who deserves a shot at the 4-for-1 deal to become undisputed? I'm going to tell you right now. To me, Boots Ennis deserves it more than anybody else, more than anyone else at 147. Okay? Now, we have to understand, Keith Thurman, I don't really like to say that boxers are putting duck sauce on the fried rice unless it's clearly that, they have an insatiable appetite for Chinese food, right? But there have been times where there are fighters who put duck sauce on the fried rice. Had nothing to do with the money, had nothing to do with a guy being kind of green, not having a profile. It's just fighters are like, nah, I'm not getting there and fighting him. One fighter in particular who I know for a fact, many fighters put the duck sauce on the fried rice. Whether you want to hear this or not, is Deontay Wilder, okay? But when it comes to Keith Thurman, there have been some incidents or instances, right, where he put some duck sauce on the fried rice because he didn't want to fight Boots Ennis. All right, y'all remember, Keith Thurman had opportunities over the last 4 or 5 years to make a return and to make a big splash against, unfortunately for him, some of these up-and-comers. Boots was his name was growing. It's much bigger now, but Boots' profile was growing. And Thurman had an opportunity to bang with him. He didn't want to do it. Thurman even had an opportunity to fight Terrence Crawford. I think Keith Thurman outpriced himself, wanted like 10, 12 million, something like that. And you can't blame Keith Thurman for wanting that kind of money. But the thing, when it comes to Keith Thurman, when you're used to making 5, 6, 7 million, fight Pacquiao, I think the man cleared over 10 mil. These guys have to understand, and in Keith Thurman's case, you're just not going to get that kind of money unless you're fighting a superstar, okay? Terrence Crawford at that time was no superstar, and I'm not sure even if Thurman fought Crawford now, Thurman could command that kind of money. But as far as Boots Ennis, not wanting to give him a shot, not give him an opportunity, look, Thurman went through that. He wanted to fight Mayweather. Crawford went through that. Spence went through that. Now they're in a position to where, these guys can give other guys the opportunity. But the thing with Keith Thurman is he's been inactive. So when you look at what's happened over the last 4, 5, 6 years, Boots Ennis has been putting the work in. Boots Ennis has been active. Boots Ennis has built up his profile. Okay? And I get it. Look, I'm a Keith Thurman fan. But at the end of the day, as far as who put the work in over the last few years, it's Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis has been calling everybody out, trying to get the biggest fights. This is something that people don't understand. Even when people try to press Boots Ennis about ducking Crawford or ducking Spence or ducking somebody, he and his dad are right there, man, looking to confront those those rumors head on. Now, I do think there's some things where politics could come into play, and it is what it is. But Boots Ennis and his father and his team, they just don't strike me as the kind of people to be out here ducking any fights, especially a guy like Keith Thurman. But we know Keith Thurman has gone on record, and he will say, "Look, I'm not going to make a fight with certain people." And we know Crawford was one because he wanted big money. He'll say he'll fight him, but you look at the money he wants, that tells you he don't want to fight him. And then you take a look at him and Boots Ennis. He didn't want to get in there and basically be a springboard for Boots Ennis to bigger and better things. But oh my, have things come full circle. Because now Keith Thurman wants to fight Crawford. Keith Thurman wants to fight Crawford. He's even talking about he'll fight Boots Ennis now. It makes you wonder why. Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because one, Boots Ennis' profile has bubbled up. But two is Keith Thurman knows Boots Ennis has a little IBF strap. And he wants to try to pick that up. And then, of course, with Terrence Crawford, you're getting the 4-for-1 deal. But at the end of the day, Keith Thurman has the name. But I just don't think he's done enough recently to earn a shot at Terrence Crawford over Boots Ennis. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, I would not be surprised if Thurman got the nod. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised, and I think you can understand why, because of his name, his profile, and there are a lot of people out there because of what Keith Thurman has done in the ring. You see, this is the thing that there's no comparison as far as Keith Thurman's accomplishments compared to Boots Ennis' accomplishments. But at the same time, Keith Thurman had those opportunities when he was in his prime, like Boots Ennis, and he had the dancing partners to mix it up. Him, Porter, Garcia. Spence was still kind of coming up, but he was right in that conversation too. Then, Thurman, found his wife and went missing, whatever. Now Boots Ennis, okay, he doesn't have the resume, but he just hasn't had the opportunities. But I tell you what, for Boots Ennis to beat Villa, that is a good feather in his cap. Boots Ennis needs to go on, and he should go straight to Crawford. But if not, because you know how this politics works, I really think the fight they need to make, if they're not gonna give Boots Ennis the Crawford fight, because I think Boots Ennis deserves the 4-for-1 deal before Thurman, then put him in there with Thurman. Because at this point in time with Keith Thurman, it's either you retire, okay, and just get away from the sport of boxing, or you fight Boots Ennis. Okay, now when you take a look at this right here, okay, let me make this a little smaller for you, all right? Because this is what's ridiculous to me. Okay, so when you look at what we have at 147, okay, they don't even have Keith Thurman when it comes to the ring ranking. They don't even have him ranked in the top 10. All right, but when you look at it, for Boots Ennis and for Crawford and for Thurman, and who should be fighting Crawford next? Of course, Boots Ennis is the mandatory. He's been mandatory at that position for a long time. You got Mantis Stanley Eunice, who's over there trying to fight an eliminator to see who'll be up next, right? Then you got Alexis Rocha, who's over there floating around and was, I don't know if he is anymore, but he was a mandatory to the WBO. But when you really look at it, out of these names in this top 10, you got Spence at 1, who knows what's going to happen in the rematch. Ennis at number 2. That's the end of the conversation. Ortiz Jr. is in the breeze. Who knows what's going on with that guy with the health issues and going to 154. Stanley Eunice, man, he looks like he wants to come back and fight somebody, but he's been inactive for a while, so I doubt he's going to want to mix it up with Ennis. But, Stanley Eunice he's a throwback fighter. He'll get in there and scrap. Rocha, who knows what's going on with that guy. Crowley, he was supposed to be in the WBC eliminator already, so I don't know what the issue with Crowley and the WBC still having, title eliminators for interim belts. WBC's out here getting their money because Crowley, to me, should be the mandatory to Crawford for the WBC because he just fought a WBC eliminator. Evanescence, I don't even think he should be on here, to be honest with you. Giasov, I know nothing about him, to tell you the truth. Villa, he just lost, so he shouldn't be nowhere in the mix. And Rashidi Ellis, I don't know what he's going to do to get his career back on track. But when you take a look at it, really, the only two fighters is really Keith Thurman with the name, with the profile, and then really Boots Ennis, okay? That's really what's out there as far as who we should even be talking about as far as getting a shot at Terrence Crawford. But I think Boots Ennis is the man. But you know what? It doesn't mean it's going to happen that way, people. And for those of you who are saying, nah, Hood, man, Keith Thurman should get the shot. Or some saying, no, Keith Thurman shouldn't. What I'm going to tell you is this. When I saw the WBC, right, because I've always paid attention, but once I did my research, right, and I saw, you see these conversations we're having right now about boxing, politics, mandatories, all these sanctioning bodies having their mandatories and then trying to impose their mandatories on the unified or undisputed champion at the exact same time. You know, the undisputed or unified champion can't defend his belt or his belts against two or more opponents at the same time. You just can't do it. That's why the sanctioning body is supposed to be talking and agreeing on which sanctioning body would have their belt defended first. Let me tell you something. I did the research. I've done videos on this. You can go look back 10 or 15 years and see that these were issues with sanctioning bodies and Mauricio Suleiman and his dad and all these, the presidency sanctioning bodies supposed to be working on. This is nothing new, people. And you know what? They haven't corrected it. You know why they haven't corrected it? Because of the money, man. Cash rules everything around me, around them. That's simple. But coming full circle, when I saw Suleiman turn down an opportunity at the undisputed distinction for Bivol and Bertabiev, I said, this is madness. Because we all know when it comes to an opportunity to make an undisputed bout, for the most part, that takes precedence over anything when it comes to those fighters in that weight division, right? When I saw that, I said, this is crazy. Oh, well, no, we have the war going on and Bivol and the war and he's Russian and this. No, he can't fight for our WBC strap. Well, hold on, Bertabiev is Russian. What are you talking about? But during that time, they were saying if Bivol wanted to fight Canelo at 168, then he could fight Canelo for the undisputed distinction at 168. That means he would have picked up a WBC strap. So, at the end of the day, when I saw that crap, I said, this is the secret society at work right in front of our eyes. And that's when I said, it doesn't matter on who should be getting the fight or as far as them earning it or as far as the fans demanding it. You, myself, nobody has any say. You know who has the say? These damn sanctioning bodies, these commissions, the secret society, these boxing promoters and consultants and whoever else is out there. And when these guys out here washing money and putting money in pockets and going to the piss or standing next to somebody and sliding a little check in their pocket. That's how this crap works, man. So for those of you who don't understand it, and what I'm saying, I'm not making up. Go do your research. Everything I'm telling you is out there, man. You know who's the whistleblower for a lot of this stuff? I'm surprised they ain't hog-tied him and put him down in the basement somewhere. Teddy Atlas telling the business, man. Teddy Atlas is out here telling the business, man. He and I need to get together, man, and become the secret society busters. You know, he and I dress up in these white little outfits, man, and get our little secret society guns and go out there, man, and tranquilize all these guys who bring in the corruption to the sport of boxing. But that being said, in my opinion, when I saw that happen, I said, these guys are going to do what they want. If they won't make an undisputed distinction at 175 for whatever reason, which is all crap, right? Why would they come down and do the right thing and have somebody who really earned a shot get a shot at a 4-for-1 deal, or someone who is in position to fight for a unification or to fight for an undisputed distinction in another weight class? You know, why would they be for that? So they're going to do what's best for them. That being said, in my opinion, it doesn't matter who you think will win a fight between Boots and Crawford, Boots and Spence, Boots and Thurman. Thurman Boots, Thurman Crawford, Thurman Spence. I think we can all agree that if anyone should get the 4-for-1 deal next, if Spence does not want to fight Crawford, right, I think Boots Ennis should get the 4-for-1 deal. Very simple. And especially when you look at how he performed against Villa. I mean, that's the wave he needs to be riding on right now into a fight with Crawford. Because in that buildup, they can talk about, hey, you know, against Chikazi, you couldn't figure out. But then when they show those clips from Villa and him playing with him, he threw that right hand at him. Bink, slipped, stepped around him. Villa didn't know what was going on. And then he ended up knocking him out. Basically Villa is today's Marcos Maidana. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't knock guys like that out. And for him to be able to pull that off is amazing. And that's another reason why I think he deserves a 4-for-1 deal over Keith Thurman. But I'm telling you right now, I think Keith Thurman is a live dog in that fight. I'm just being honest with you. But Keith Thurman has to know what he wants to do. He kind of reminds me of myself. Like, I retired 4 years ago, right? Since then, I've been chilling. But I planned for this since I was 19 years old. So that's the reason why, life is good. But at the same time, there are days where I want to, suit and booted and go work and do those things and get the mind, get the juices flowing back in the mind and putting together presentations and doing briefings and traveling. I feel to do those things. But then there are days where I'm like, I don't know. The problem is anything that I'm talking about with people who may be interested in bringing me on or doing some kind of consultant deal when it comes to project management and configuration management and stuff like that, right? And quality assurance and stuff. When I have those conversations with people, it doesn't get pushed out there to the world. So nobody can say like, man, he's retired, he's not coming back. He's ducking this opportunity, he's ducking that opportunity. Because nobody knows me. But when you're Keith Thurman and you're in the sport of boxing and he's out here in an interview and he's feeling good that day, like how I feel some days to return to work, he's like, yeah, I want this and that, I'm this, and my get back, my comeback here, it didn't work out like I wanted, but I'm ready now. But then a week goes by and then he's back home chilling, comfortable, right? Not out here trying to kill himself in the gym, training, uncomfortable, legs hurting, back hurting, head hurting, tired, whatever. He's like, I don't know if I want to do that. But they already put the camera in front of him. So now he starts looking inconsistent. And most boxing fans don't want to understand that what he's going through. But I can understand because I kind of been there. Not with boxing, but just with life and retiring. Let me tell you something. If you guys ever drove a stick shift vehicle, right? You can't go from first gear to fifth gear. You can't get that car going 10 miles an hour to shift that shit in the fifth gear and think you're going to take off on the goddamn Autobahn somewhere. It's not how it works. You got first, second, third. You may be able to get the third to fifth. But really, if you do it right, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear. You see? There's a progression there. And that's the thing with Keith Thurman. He's got to be some kind of progression. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But if you ask me, Thurman or Boots, who deserves a shot at the 4-for-1 deal to become undisputed? I say Boots. Will he get that shot? I don't know. There's a whole lot of things up in the air. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm about to do a video. And I don't think Earl Spence should be getting back in that ring with Terrence Crawford anytime soon. But that video is about to come right now, okay? That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. The 4-for-1 deal, give it the Boots. Stop playing around. And let's get the party going. Keep the party going. In the breeze.